G'day everybody, welcome back to the channel. Now, today I'm going to do a video that I wasn't actually going to do, but I had a question asked to me by a subscriber on the channel who's always got wonderful comment to make and constructive comment about, you know, the really getting into the video that he's commenting on, and I assume it's a he. So they come up on for me as AS2426. So he asked me just a little while ago, actually, I was reading a comment where he asked me, they asked me, which would I, out of the sources, which did I like, which did I pick? And I didn't really touch on that. I just sort of gave the results. So that's my bad. I should have given you guys my insight into the room. And so I thought that's a perfect opportunity to talk a little bit about what I heard in the room on those songs, and get you guys a bit closer to what I was hearing. Now, the new stereo mic seems to be going down like a house on fire. Everybody's really happy with the, you know, they're hearing things, you know, well, I mean, that microphone actually samples at 32-bit 192 as a digital source, being a USB microphone. So it's super duper high res. So it's taking a lot of bandwidth for me to record at that level, but I am recording at that level so that you guys can really hear a lot or get closer to what's happening in the room. So that's what's going to be using. I'm using the Rode microphone now here as source point microphone. So hopefully that sounds a little bit better as well with my voice. But let's get into it. Let's have a little chat about it. So the first track was Six Blade Knife by Dire Straits, and on that particular those three, pick your source, I have a very early pressing album, and by far, not even a little bit, but by far, the vinyl, which was the second source in that first video, was my favorite. It literally sounds three-dimensional. Like there's literally absolutely space that I cannot get from the CD and I cannot get from a stream. And that's one of the reasons why I love having a vinyl rig, why I love having records and physical media. I'm a bit old school like that, but certainly a lot of my albums are, you know, in really good condition and are early pressings, because I literally bought them when they came out. And that is a very early pressing, that original Dire Straits album, and it just has this real holographic sound about it that by far away, in this room was the best of those three. So the second track that we played was Missed Again by Phil Collins. The stream was number one for me. The stream just had that little bit of extra you know, punch with the brass, and it sounded really alive in the room. You know, I was tapping away with my hand, trying not to disturb the camera, because I was really getting into the song. So for me, the stream was number one. Number two was the CD in that one, because I've got a very early Bullseye CD version of that album of it, and the third on that one was the turntable. It just, I don't know, I think it has something to do with the pressing. That pressing is just really not great for me. It's a little bit flat and dull sounding, and it'll no doubt be the pressing of the album. So that's sort of how that one panned out for me. On number three, it was Bombaleo by the Gypsy Kings. Now on that one, I had a 45 RPM version on vinyl, and it was the best. It again had that real three-dimensionality about it. It had, you know, the guitars sounded like they stepped out in front of the performance. All the percussion was just bouncing around right across the soundstage on the vinyl. It was really alive. I remember really, again, tapping my feet to that and really having a great old time listening to that while I was recording it for you. So, turntable was number 1. Number 2 was the Stream. The Stream was really quite good. I just had an average CD of that, and while there wasn't a lot of difference between the Stream and the CD for me on that one, that was really very, very close even for me in the room here. I put the Stream at 2 and the CD at 3, but it was really line ball. It could have gone either way, that one. But certainly the turntable there was absolutely number 1 on track 3. So track 4 and the final track, which was Brothers in Arms by Dire Straits again. On that particular one, the CD, because I've got a SACD of Brothers in Arms, and that sounded absolutely alive. That rumble, that thundery rumble at the start of that track just resonated into the room like thunder. It just had that really placed you somewhere. I just imagined that mist-covered mountain that Mark Knopfler talks about. You know, a Scottish, cold, damp, dark pictures in my head of thunder rolling in, the valley of and mountains around with mist everywhere. But yeah, that was the sort of picture that was in my head around that particular track. Music does that to me. It places me in my imagination just imagines something that possibly he was trying to, describe. And so the CD most definitely was number 1. Number 2 was the Stream on that one because it was a high-res Stream, and it sounded not quite as good as the CD, but nearly as good as the CD, very close. And I've got an original, whenever it was, pressing from 1986 of that album that I bought when it was a brand new album. And it's been around the block a fair few times. It was probably one of the easiest ones to pick because it had a crackle here and there in it, and that recording sounded a little bit flat as well. That pressing, and that's just the vinyl. You come across a great pressing of something, and it's an absolute joy to listen to, and it can have that really three-dimensional feeling about it. Whereas the some albums that I have just don't quite have that, that last little bit. As good as my turntable and cartridge and everything are, and what have you, it just doesn't quite have that lift that I get from the digital source. So, I have everything. I think I'll always have a CD transport / player in the MPT-8. When you get a DAC and a digital transport like the DreamStack there, it is like analog. It is, when you get to that level of digital component, you are at the top of the shelf. From that point on, it's just variations of what you like. But as far as resolution, detail, musicality, all the things that we judge, music by, in my eyes, my humble opinion, the playback design stuff's as good as anything on the planet. Very lucky that I own both of those, and they aren't going anywhere soon. They are just absolutely, they give me goosebumps every time I listen to them. And then I, as I said, I'd never give my vinyl up either, because there's something there about, the hunt for a record in a garage sale or at a market, and you pull it out and it looks nearly brand new and you put it on. It's stunningly brilliant to listen to, and I paid $7 or $8 for it or something. So that's also a thrill as well, and I do that often, and love the chase of finding new physical media like that. So there's my sort of take on it. That's how I sort of felt things for me in the room. The vinyl won a couple of times, the Stream and the CD. It was pretty spread across, but they're the reasons why, and that's something that I think, thanks to AS2426 for bringing that up for me, because it was something I should have shared, and I hadn't thought to do a video about how it felt and how it sounded to me in the room. But I hope that gives you a bit of an idea of what I was hearing in the room. I enjoyed doing every single one of them. I was tapping my feet away and enjoying recording them for you anyway. It's a real joy to do that and share it with with like-minded people, as you, my family are here on An Aussie Audiophile. I want to do more of that kind of thing, and I'm glad that you enjoyed it. It seemed to be a hit with you all, and got you really listening into the music, and that was my goal at the end of the day. And now I'm just trying to get the recordings 100% right so that I can bring you as close as I can to sitting in my chair, so that you can get a real feeling for what it must be like in this room. I mean, there'll always be limitations, of course, but I'm doing everything I can and chucking as much money at it as I can to get as close as I can to you feeling like you're here. And the stereo microphone's doing a pretty good job of that. So anyway, that's the wrap up for this one. Thanks very much for watching. If you're liking what I'm doing, all I can ask you to do are the things that don't cost you anything, and that is give it a thumbs up, the video, and if you haven't subscribed, please consider doing so. I want to build the channel, and if you're into what I'm doing, then please subscribe. So until we see you next time, bye for now.